Hello, Merry Meet. So, I want to review a book. The book I want to review is Lithomancy, Divination and Spellcraft with Stones, Crystals and Coins by Reverend Dr. Jon Saint Germain. I do suspect that might not be his real name, but yes. I saw this little book on Amazon and I just found it very interesting. I have been wanting to get into crystal divination, haven't done that a lot, and this book basically is the perfect way to do that because the system is very easy. And basically, the first part of this book, other than the introduction and so on and so forth, sort of is a mini class, mini lecture thing where you basically go from lesson to lesson. The first method it describes, you will need 3 different stones, one black, one brown, and one white. And then you add to that and add to that and add to that. But basically it goes step by step, making it very easy to get into it without a lot of memorization. In that you first do one of the things, master that, and then move on, which is a very good way to arrange this. And it also discusses lithomancy with other things, such as, for example, little charms and little figurines. Those sugar hearts, those that has a little message on them. I so love that reading. He said he had been doing that for what is the holiday called? Valentine's Day event, where he basically were doing lithomancy using those little hearts, those little candies with a little message in them that has a little heart on them. And yeah, I'm planning on doing that next Valentine's Day, basically making it a thing for Valentine's Day to do a divination with those little hearts. My husband loves to eat them, so after I'm done doing divination with them, he can eat them since I can't. And yeah, it basically describes how you can use pretty much anything for divination. And yeah, but let's have a look at what the book contains. It has a dedication, acknowledgements, and introduction, pretty self-explanatory. Then you have part 1, reading with the stones. And you have chapter 1, the foundations of lithomancy, which discusses a bit of the history of this type of divination. Symbols in the stones, which discusses symbology. Preparing yourself as a lithomancer, about what you need to know, the first thing you can do, collecting and preparing your stones, basically where can you get the stones, how can you consecrate them. He doesn't say program the stones, he says training the stones, but it's basically the same thing. Casting the stones, which goes on casting methods. This is very interesting because a lot of books on lithomancy doesn't have a lot on that. That it basically is a technique to throwing things right, and he gives some advice there. Adding color, which goes to basically adding color symbology. Direction and orientation. Now into basically how to add depth to your reading. In that, for example, let's say you have a stone and you decide one thing is the top of the stone and the other is the bottom of the stone. And then basically where it lands and also how the stone lands. Does it land upside down, a little bit to the side, and so on can add to your reading. Casting onto a marked surface. This is where you can basically do things like he has some layouts in here too that you can then put on a piece of paper or embroider them to a cloth or draw on a cloth that you are casting on. And you can do these things that are in there, that you have one based on the clock, for one particular divination in there, one based on the 9 Norse mythology worlds, one with 4 quadrants and so on, but you can basically have anything. You can just draw up, for example, friends, economics, love life, and all of those things that are important to you, and toss them so you can basically adjust your reading with that and add detail. And you have Ron Martin Shank's Crossroads Circle, which is one particular type of divination that this man does. Runes and rune casting, which is a bit about runes and using them, basically having rune stones. It's not a very big chapter, so it's basically, I would more recommend than getting a book on the runes, but it's enough to get you started. The Witch's Runestones, he both discusses the history of the Witch's Runes. As I said, there's basically three authors that has been developing that system, but nobody knows exactly who originally made it. And he both has some interesting information on it, how to use that system, and also add-ons that you can add to that system. And you have Brian Howard's gemstone reading, which is again one particular reading. Basically, there's a lot of different kinds of readings and ways to use these stones in here. Chakra stone reading, which is an interesting one. Projective lithomancy. I love this. This is a type of spell casting using lithomancy, but you could use any kind of divination for this. It's basically that you do a reading. Let's say, for example, I want to read on when do I get the second cat, because we are planning on adopting a cat. When do I get my second cat, and will there be any problems? Let's say I do a reading on that, and then it shows up that there might be an economic situation that will delay things, and some health issues. But I don't want that. And so then when I have done my reading, I go in and I cheat. I basically just change the stones, or for that matter, the tarot cards or the Lenormand cards, anything, and I change it up and basically make it the ideal reading, make it exactly how I would have wanted this to go. And I focus on this is the way it's gonna go. So basically first I see the future and then I change it to the way I want it to go. It's a brilliant way to cast magic. I have to try that one. Magic and spellcraft with stones, which is basically some crystals and stone spells. They're completely okay. It's a completely okay chapter. They aren't the best spells I have ever seen in my life, but they're okay. Then you have part 2, reading with coins. I really like this one. I haven't really considered doing that, but now I really want to. You have introduction to coin casting. You have Kat Joran's state quarter casting. This one would be somewhat expensive because you need every one of the state quarters and a few more. The casting is interesting, but I think it would probably resonate more with somebody who are from the United States. However, should I come over on eBay and find a set of the state quarters reasonably cheap, I might pick it up for this reading, because, as you know, I'll appropriate shamelessly. And then we have Richard Webster's Success Coin Cast, an interesting one. You have the Grand Tableau of Coins. The problem with that is that it doesn't really explain the Grand Tableau. The Grand Tableau is a layout that is mostly used with Le Petit Lenormand, and you will sort of need a book on the Lenormand to find it. Basically, almost all books on the Lenormand has the Grand Tableau. It's a very common reading to use, a very common layout to use. Basically, you know how almost all tarot books have the Celtic cross? Yeah, the Grand Tableau is Le Petit Lenormand's version, or basically not a version of it, but it's the same thing. It's the layout that everybody uses. But if you are not familiar with I can't talk today, Le Petit Lenormand, you might not get that section. He should have added a bit about that, but fair enough. New magic and spellcraft with coins. There's some interesting some really interesting ones here that I really want to do, especially one that where everybody benefits. It's a spell where you basically collect coins in a bowl, and you do spells with that, with a candle that slowly burns down. And when you are done, you just clean the wax off the coins and you give those to charity. And as they are spread around, they draw luck in. So basically, I get luck and increases in wealth, and I get to do something nice at the same time. Very nice, very nice. There's also a coin system here that I probably will collect because it won't be very expensive. It basically uses 15 silver colored coins and 15 copper colored coins and 1 gold colored coin. I think it's Buckland's one, wasn't it? Or was it Webster? I think it was from perhaps Webster. Anyway, it's in there. It's a system for using these, and it's really interesting. That basically, because in Norway we have 1 crown, which is about 1/8 of a dollar, is silver colored, and then we have 50 øre, which is then 1/16 of a dollar, which is copper colored, and then we have 20 kroner, which is about $3. So basically, you can pretty cheaply just get these stones, then consecrate them and use them for that. I'll probably do that. And then we have part 3, reading with absolutely anything. We have the Horrocrux Dollhouse reading, which is one we use little miniatures. Since I love miniatures, I have to try this one. Then you have the mind-boggling readings, which uses boggle dice. I also have to try this one because I love dice. And then you have Candy Hearts Divination. I am going to make this a tradition on Valentine's Day. Then you have conclusion and bibliography with so many books on the bibliography that I want. Yeah, I like this book. I think it's very good. It's very small. I wish it was bigger. Because the only complaint I could have about this book is that he rushes through some topics. This contains everything you need to get started with lithomancy and coin readings and all that. It's a very useful book. You can definitely learn to use several types of divination with this. There's several systems of divination, several systems of both coin and divination, and learning them you will be busy for quite some time. So it's a good value for money book. I wish there were some more details, but all in all, this is a good book. I'll really recommend it. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. The spells are completely okay. The divination systems are generally really, really good. And the book got me excited for trying this divination system. And I mean, that's the thing. And while reading it, I got some ideas for little spells I wanted to make, and so on and so forth. And I mean, that's the best kind of occult book. The ones that makes you excited to do occult shit. And this one do that. So yeah, it's a good book on lithomancy. I definitely think it was worth the cost, and it's not very expensive. I think, yeah, it says it cost $9. I think that was $9 well spent. So yeah, that is my review of Lithomancy, Divination and Spellcraft with Stones, Crystals and Coins by Reverend Dr. Jon Saint Germain. I give this 8 out of 10 and I recommend it. Have a great day and blessed be.